Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Monday, February 8th, 2021. And as always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or joining through the archives. As we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered in my over 46 years of living life and doing therapy. These tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages that says Start Here, it'll take you to a page where you can download and listen to or read Dr. Michael Rice's chapter 24 of his book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? That chapter is a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is a tool I've been using for over 16 years to help myself manage my emotions and turn my emotions into a very effective and powerful guidance system. So anytime I have a negative emotion, I pull out the reality management worksheet, the next available time slot in my life, and map out what my mind is doing to create the upset and what my mind is telling me needs to happen, what people around me need to do, what the world needs to do to fall in alignment so I can be happy. And then cancel all of that and ask to be shown something else. Ask to be shown a view of the world that my conscious logical mind cannot generate. That process has been improving the quality of my life by leaps and bounds for over 16 years, and I continue to use it and teach it in support groups and on this internet show, and we invite people to go read that chapter of that book, and then also on that page you can click a link and get access to a completely free PDF file of that process. Print it off and use it as often as you'd like. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words, Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness, and by the time you're done typing Aramaic, A-R-A-M-A-I-C, and start typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon, and if you tap on that, it will download a completely free and private app for you that contains the reality management worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And we encourage people to do that soon and often. And then if that brings up questions or comments for you, give us a call. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. If you go to that web page and print off that chapter of Michael's book and read it and print off the worksheet process and start using it, and or click on the link that says MP3s with instructions, testimonials, and support on the wake-up sheets. You can also scroll down on that page and get access to a whole host of shows that focus on the addiction process and the 12-step programs and how similar they are, or what the overlap is with the tools that Dr. Michael Rice uses. You can also click on a link to download a 24.5-minute PowerPoint presentation by Bill Cosentino that describes the how and why of the reality management worksheet. And you can view that 20 times and still deepen your understanding of it. If you keep scrolling down on that page, that very same page, there are a whole host of other worksheets, tools, ideas, the apology tool, the Beatitudes poster from Laws of Living, the codependence to interdependence worksheet, the commitments, the various tools, formats of the commitment tool, the responsibility communication tool from the talk, Did You Hear What I Think I Said? And the list goes on. Also, this year we are stepping through the Course in Miracles lessons, and so today's lesson, being the 39th day of the year, the lesson is, My holiness is my salvation. And the commentary reads as follows: If guilt is hell, what is its opposite? Like the text for which this book was written, the ideas used for the exercises are very simple, very clear, totally unambiguous. We are not concerned with intellectual feats nor logical toys. We are dealing only in the very obvious. That has been overlooked in the clouds of complexity in which you think that you think. If guilt is hell, what is its opposite? This is not difficult, surely. The hesitation you may feel in answering it is not due to the ambiguity of the question. But do you believe that guilt is hell? If you did, you would see at once how direct and simple the text is, and you would not need a workbook at all. No one needs practice to gain what already is his. We have already said that your holiness is the salvation of the world. What about your own salvation? You cannot give what you do not have. A Savior must be saved. How else can a Savior teach salvation? Today's exercises apply to you, recognizing that your salvation is crucial to the salvation of the world. As you apply the exercises to your world, the whole world stands to benefit. Your holiness is the answer to every question that was ever asked, is being asked now, or will be asked in the future. Your holiness means the end of guilt, and therefore the end of hell. Your holiness is the salvation of the world and your own salvation. How could you, to whom your holiness belongs, be excluded from your holiness? God does not know unholiness. Can it be he does not know his own Son? A full 5 minutes are urged for the 4 longer practice periods for today, and longer and more frequent practice sessions are encouraged. If you want to exceed the minimum requirements, more rather than longer sessions are recommended, although both are suggested. Begin the practice periods as usual, repeating today's ideas to yourself. Then, with your eyes closed, search out your unloving thoughts in whatever form they appear. Uneasiness, depression, anger, fear, worry, attack, insecurity, and so on. Whatever form they take, they are unloving and therefore fearful. And so it is from them that you need to be saved. Specific situations, events, or personalities you associate with unloving thoughts of any kind are suitable subjects for today's exercises. It is imperative for your salvation that you see them differently, and it is your blessing on them that will save you and give you true vision. Slowly and without conscious selection and without undue emphasis on any particular one, search your mind for every thought that stands between you and your salvation. Apply the idea for today to each of them in this way. My unloving thoughts about blank are keeping me in hell. My holiness is my salvation. You may find these practice periods easier if you intersperse them with several short periods during which you merely repeat today's idea to yourself slowly a few times. You may also find it helpful to include a few short intervals in which you just relax and do not seem to be thinking of anything. Sustained concentration is very difficult at first. It will become much easier as your mind becomes more disciplined and less distractible. Meanwhile, you should feel free to introduce variety into the exercise periods in whatever form appeals to you. Do not, however, change the idea itself as you vary the method of applying it. However you select to use it, the idea should be stated so that its meaning is the fact that your holiness is your salvation. End each practice period by repeating the idea in its original form once more and adding, if guilt is hell, what is its opposite? In the shorter applications, which should be made some 3 or 4 times an hour and more if possible, you may ask yourself this question. Repeat today's idea and preferably both. If temptations arise, a particularly helpful form of the idea is, my holiness is my salvation from this. Today's lesson, my holiness is my salvation. Lesson 39 from the Course in Miracles experiment is titled, The Rumble in the Jungle Inside My Head. She quotes Jill Whalen as saying, if you sucked all the thoughts out of your head, you'd find nothing but peace. The ego is a shapeshifter, constantly working to throw me off guard. It tries to convince me it's big and scary and powerful, and that it can get me at any time. Lesson 39, My Holiness is My Salvation, provides a simple tool for overcoming the ego's default position of bracing for disaster. It tells me in no uncertain terms that my badass holiness will vanquish the ego's very ruse. Because the ego deals in untruth and rumor, it has to conceal itself to be effective. That's why whenever I have the presence of mind to do so, I separate myself from the ego's voice by simply observing it. I think about it in the third person. That way, I'm not tempted to take the ego's lies as my identity. I'm asked today to close my eyes for 5 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning and evening, and whenever it's convenient, so I can seek out the ego's many guises: uneasiness, depression, anger, fear, worry, attack, insecurity. And to know that whatever complex form these thoughts seem to take, they are all the same. They are an attempt to keep me in hell. They are unloving and therefore not, because my salvation is in my holiness. My holiness is my salvation. If guilt is hell, its opposite is innocence. So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And I believe Susan is already on the line.
Hi, Dr. Tim. I don't have that long, but the last line of that, the word innocent.
All right, hold on.
Yes.
I'm trying to turn up the volume so I can actually hear what you were saying. I heard, hello, Dr. Tim, and that was it.
Okay.
Try again.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. The word innocence. She uses the word innocence at the very end, and I thought, bingo, is holiness innocence. I have never been able to get a handle or a feeling about the word holiness, but if I use the word innocence, it changes everything. But I don't want to make it too easy or something. I mean, or wrong. I'd love to make it easy, but I don't want to be wrong about that. Could I substitute? Quiet, Dr. Tim. Yes, I have to watch my words with you. How about that? My innocence is my salvation. Is that just too much?
No, well, I don't think it is. That's why I, in full disclosure, added the word innocence, because this lesson asks us several times, if guilt is hell, what is its opposite? It doesn't provide an answer, but I provided the word innocence.
Oh, you did? Well, then I wondered, I've been thinking about the word innocent. Could you substitute it? And then you read it, and I thought, how could I have missed reading that in her lesson? But you added it. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Oh.
Right. And the idea comes from the question.
Yeah.
Right? The question in the Course in Miracles commentary is, if guilt is hell, what is its opposite?
Mhm.
And
well,
it does
and
never it does not give the answer. It just says, this is not difficult, surely. The hesitation you feel is not due to the ambiguity of the question. But do you believe that guilt is hell? If you did, you would see at once how direct and simple the text is, and you wouldn't need the workbook at all. No one needs practice to gain what is already his.
I love it. Look, I'm going to go. We're getting in the car. Wish us luck, and I'll be listening as much as I can. Actually, I won't be because I've got a grandson on the line. But thank you so much for reading the lesson. I got to go.
You're very welcome. Blessings.
Okay. Thanks. You too. Bye.
So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And we have another caller, area code 520. You're in the air.
Good morning, Dr. Pam.
Is this Audrey?
Yes, it is.
Welcome. How can we support you today?
Well, you already have, because I was doing the worksheet. I had no idea why I was so angry. I mean, for about the last week, I was so angry at this person who's incarcerated for murdering his wife. Her body was found in the bay, and the unborn child was full term, and the body appeared in the bay. And I had anger within my structure. I used the worksheet, and through working the worksheet, I had judged man to be a substandard husband and a substandard father. By doing the worksheet, doing my inner work, I dismantled that anger that I was carrying in my structure and had the realization that I had judged my father as a substandard father and a substandard inner work, and found the link that this man who murdered his wife represented to me the role of a father and husband. So I forgave, I canceled the goal, I forgave the thought in which I judged by. And doing the forgiveness work, I liberated this discordant energy in my structure. And it was a deep, deep inner core of anger, which I carried. So I just wanted to say I am starting, quote, to get how to do the worksheet. And it is a form of liberation, and it is my journey to salvation, to peace and joy and love. And thank you so very much for all the support.
Well, you're very welcome. And of course, in this work, we like to remind people you're using the term, forgiveness. And in this work, the forgiveness tool really means to dismantle, to cancel, to put down, or let go of. And so if I cancel and dismantle and let go of all of those negative, hurtful, blaming thoughts, I have a very different experience of myself and my life. And the benefits are far-reaching for myself, for my friends and family, for my bloodline, because as I let go of the false beliefs, any of those judgments that end up producing the negative emotions in me, in the next heartbeat, I end up with a clearer picture of life. And with a clearer picture of life, I see things to be grateful for. I see blessings and little miracles. And that's the point of this work, not to pardon someone who my mind has made up some story they are bad or wrong and they deserve to be punished, but to actually remove the turbulent, the negative, the traumatic content from my mind that makes me believe my upset is about a news story about a bad parent or father somewhere out in the ethers. And what you've demonstrated to yourself here is clearly you were never angry about that news story and about what that husband/father did to his wife and baby, because nothing in the worksheet you did changed anything about that external reality. The truth is, we are only, always, and forever upset about the false stories that we create and the pictures our mind serves up to help us try to believe that our upset is about the outside world. So congratulations on what sounds like a very deep, powerful piece of work, and for using the worksheet to great advantage in your life.
Yes, thank you. And let go and dismantle are right on the target. And I thank you. Blessings.
All right. Blessings. Thanks for the call. So we have 34 minutes left. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, as Susan and Audrey have done, it'll put a little question mark by your phone number, and I can announce you by your area code, and we can have a conversation. How can we support you? What's on your mind today? We have the standard request out for people to let us know if you have a book title or a favorite author or motivational speaker that you would like to have us interview. We have a support group on Tuesdays and one on Thursday this coming support group tomorrow night is going to be different than any in the past because it's going to have our support group, our Tuesday Mind Shifter support group, joining a group. It's essentially a meetup group for natural health solutions, and we're going to be talking about the reality management worksheet and some of the other tools that Michael and Jeannie make available on whyagain.org, and we're going to have access to 6 or 8 other individuals who are looking for a better set of tools to live a healthier life, to manage their emotions and their behaviors. And if you want information about that, you can go to mindshiftersacademy.org website. There's a separate page for the information for logging in for the Tuesday groups and a separate page for logging in for the Thursday group. Both of those are available absolutely free during this coronavirus restriction time. And we'd be happy to have you join us or forward that information to somebody that you think might benefit from joining us. All that's required is an internet connection and the willingness to participate as we question what we've been conditioned to believe about ourselves and our emotions and our thoughts, and in some ways learn to apply these powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools that are available at whyagain.org website. So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. What's on your mind? We've got 13 callers on the switchboard, no one else in the chat room, and plenty of time to entertain a comment or a question, to listen to an answer or a soliloquy if you have one and you want to share. And I have a series of interviews coming up. Later this afternoon, I will be interviewing Dr. Frank Urasek, who does acupuncture for veterans, and he works out of Stroger Hospital in Chicago. I have the recommendation to do another interview with Dr. Brian Ardis on Thursday morning. And Thursday afternoon, I'll be interviewing Bonnie, who does work as a postpartum doula out of Michigan. Dr. Ardis, I believe, is a chiropractor who's formulated a number of different targeted nutritional supplements to help people with a variety of things. One of the big ones is acne. He's had tremendous success healing people's acne, which he says is provided or caused by nutrients being absent. And so vitamins and minerals being absent and estrogen being too high, and it produces this very devastating skin-marring condition that sends a lot of people into depression loops, suicidal thoughts, unfortunately even suicidal behaviors. So these are just some of the people that we have lined up to interview. We're interviewing a woman who does, Patricia Ogden, who does a type of therapy that's physically energetically focused, and has been recommended by one of the board members of Journey's Dream. So if any of these ideas are triggering thoughts for you, let us know if you have a suggestion. Area code 484. Is this Ellen?
Yes, it is.
Hello, Ellen.
Hi, Dr.
How can we support you today?
Well, I have a question about yesterday's Course in Miracles lesson. There was a sentence in there, I don't have it in front of me, but it said something like, one who knows their holiness never makes demands on others. And I don't know if you have it there in front of you. It's something along that line.
Well, that's the lesson that says there is nothing my holiness cannot do. Does that sound familiar?
Yes. Somewhere in there, I think around the middle of the page, in the last sentence of a paragraph, it says something like, holiness, never makes demands on others.
I'm scanning the lesson now, trying to figure out where that comes from. Or, see, I'm using the CourseInMiracles.org workbook lesson 38.
Okay, you know what? I can go grab mine and see. I just had a question about that sentence because, I believe it's true, but I recently had an experience where I knew the right thing for me to do was to actually make a demand from someone. And so this is where I got a little concerned that, maybe I'm not really getting what I thought I was getting. Let's see, maybe you know what? I'm sorry. It's in the lesson prior. My holiness blesses the world. And I see it now. It's the last sentence in paragraph 2. It says, those who see themselves as whole make no demands.
Yes.
Okay, so I recently had a situation come up with my neighbors after we had this big snowfall, and when I finally got out I have a garage on an alleyway, and when I finally got out there, we got like 28 inches, so it was a major snowfall, and I was shoveling for 3 days. So finally on the third day, I made it out to the alley to shovel out there in front of my garage, and only to discover that the people across from me had, the 2 houses across from me back there, had put all the snow that was in front of their parking places onto my property, and there was literally to the top of my fence all the way down, and there was nowhere for me to put my snow. And I was like, unless I wanted to throw it up, 5 or 6 feet. And so, of course, this triggered a lot of anger in me. And I recognized, okay, this is my anger. This isn't about them. This is about me. And I did a worksheet on it. And what I came to through the process of the worksheet was that the way I felt like, and this is a pattern that's been going on my whole life. This is a major pattern for me, which is, I don't matter. People treat me as if I don't matter. And I realized that I was the one that was not treating myself right, because when people do things that, crossing boundaries with me like that, I usually just cave in, because I don't want to get into a confrontation with anyone, and I just have a really hard time standing up for myself, so I usually just cave in and I just bear the brunt of whatever people are dumping on me. So after I did this worksheet, I realized that I'm the one that needs to give myself the respect that I've been looking for from others. Like, I need to give it to myself. So I knew that I needed to ask the people who had dumped all their snow on my property to remove it so that I had somewhere to shovel my snow. And this was a very, very scary thing for me to do. But I knew I had to do it for myself. So I did. So when I read this in the lesson, those who see themselves as whole make no demands, I thought, oh, well, I did kind of just make a demand of my neighbors to remove snow from my property, and I just wanted to, make sure I understood what is being said by that sentence.
You there?
Yes.
All right.
I'm
so
here.
I would offer that your salvation, in quotes, with this lesson is provided by switching up the word demand with request. What you did was make a request. And there's nothing in any of these lessons that say we should not make requests.
Okay.
All right? So it was perfectly okay, and we suggest that you do that soon and often when someone has dumped their snow on your property and given you no options except to dump your snow on their property and start an argument. Instead, make a civilized request. Point out the situation to them and make the request.
Okay, and that's what I did.
And you did the worksheet, right? So you're not making a demand of someone else or life before you're choosing joy, before you're choosing happiness or love. You're taking responsibility for it. And it's perfectly okay for you to request that somebody act in accordance with good boundaries and respect for self and others. And, of course, dumping their snow on your property is not respectful of you.
Correct. Yeah, and it's so funny because when I first saw it, that wasn't even what made me mad. What made me mad is like, wow, now I don't have anywhere to put my snow. But then as I really delved into it, I realized how disrespectful of it, that was towards me, and that this is like my life story. This is my life story. So I knew it was like a huge...
Okay, but you could choose. What you did choose was to recognize that you were creating the anger. This is a real circumstance. This is a real situation. There's a world out there. There's an energy field out there. Sometimes it looks like snow. Sometimes it looks like there is snow that the neighbors wittingly or unwittingly dumped on your property. Choose peace or war. I could choose forgiveness and dismantling the negative thoughts and energies in my head, or I could choose to judge that I'm right and the world is wrong. The thing is, there's never a need for the circumstances outside of me to change before I choose for peace or love. And so when you say, okay, this event happens, when I look at it, it stirs up all this anger, I'm going to take a breath or two, I'm going to do a worksheet or 5 or 12, I'm going to think before I speak. And when I speak, I'm going to speak respectfully to my neighbors, that in a way that respects myself and respects them. And I'll make a request. That's not making a demand. That's not, in this work, demanding that things change before I can have peace. Demanding that other people see the world the way I do.
Okay. Okay, good. That makes me feel a lot better because I knew it was the right thing. I just felt that, and it was a really, really scary thing for me to do. But because I knew that it's the only way that the world outside of me is. Well, initially okay. I mean, the person who answered the door, because I don't even know these people. So I had to go to their front door and ring the bell, and the girl who answered, first she's like, okay, and then she's like, well, actually, I think it was the neighbors next door who did that. And, well, I knew for a fact that they at least did some of it. Because the first time I went out and I looked, this was like 2 days earlier while it was still snowing, there was already a pile there right next to my garage, and when I looked, their garage, only in front of their garage was the snow removed. No one else had touched any snow yet. So I knew that the pile had to come from them. So I said to her, well, I know, and I said that to her. I said, I know some of it came from your property, and I told her what I just said, and she goes, oh, well, maybe a little bit of it. So anyway, she and her mother did remove a small portion of the snow, and she continued to blame the people next door to them, and finally someone from that house came out, and I approached her, and as soon as I approached her about that, she just went off like a firecracker. And I was like, I'm not saying that you did it, I'm just bringing it up because your next door neighbor said that you had. And so the people that I originally went to, which, I do think it was a joint thing because there was way too much for just the one property. So, so they removed some of it, and when I asked her to remove more because I still didn't have enough room to put my snow, she just pretty much refused and said, I have asthma, my back is sore, I cannot do it, and she just kept giving me excuse after excuse, and I knew I had to hold my ground on this. This was so important for my own self-respect. So I told her, I said, well, if you cannot get someone to move the snow, then once I run out of, filling the space that you did clear, then I'm going to have to put the rest of it on your property. I know you understand. That's what I just texted that to her. I know you understand, this is what I need to do. And so that's what I did because, she never came back out and removed any more snow for me. So, and I did it very respectfully. I mean, the easiest thing for me to do would have just been to put it right in front of her garage, which was completely cleared, but instead I just added to a pile next to the garage that they had already started, and I just made that a much bigger pile. So I did it in a very respectful way, but she came out at the very end and saw the pile, and that was going a little bit like into the garage, maybe a foot out into the garage, and she got really upset, and she just wanted to take my shovel right out of my hand and start shoveling it. And I said, excuse me. I said, I'm done with my shoveling now. I'm going in. I thought she can go grab her own shovel and do whatever she wants to do with it. But so it kind of I got somewhat of a response of what I was looking for, but not completely. But I did hold my ground. I felt good about it. I was able to, get my snow out of the way. And so from that standpoint, it got resolved.
Well, so there's your answer. If it got resolved and you were able to do it from a respectful place without going to rage and without swallowing down all kinds of negativity that you go in your house and basically poison yourself with your own energies, then you did a great job. That's a wonderful thing. And in terms of the lesson, for clarification, I would say this lesson does not preclude us when it says in Lesson 37, my holiness blesses the world. The second paragraph in the commentary, the last sentence says, those who see themselves as whole make no demands. Well, I would add that to the Way of Mastery, Part 2, Lesson 14, where it says, the grand thing about love is this. It does not make demands on any set of conditions to exist before it does. In our world, we have this topsy-turvy perception that conditions must be met before there can be a choice for peace, before there can be a choice for love. And what you said in your presentation of this was you understood this was your creation of the upset of anger. This outside condition needs to be addressed, so you do a worksheet or two, you calm yourself down, and then you go address it. You can make a request of the people around you. You can have communication. There's nothing in this lesson that says don't communicate with others about your desires and don't make requests. It says demands. And to my ear and eye, with all of these lessons so far, the first 36 or 37 lessons, they're asking us to understand that in all conditions, it's possible to choose for love. And so if I have upset, I can feel my upset, take responsibility for it, its creation, and step into the use of a tool, and then I can communicate to the people around me respectfully in a way that demonstrates I respect myself and I respect them, and I can have a good communication. I can negotiate things. None of that is precluded by this lesson, because I can do all of those things from the space of respect and love.
Right.
But if I demand that things change, then I'm in judgment, and then I am not in allowance. I am not in effective, respectful communication, and that's where I create the upset in my life.
Right. Yeah, and I clearly got to see before I ever even, because this happened at night when I saw what the situation was, and so I knew I wasn't going to address it until the next morning, so I had the whole night, to do the worksheet and to really look at the whole situation. And, and I got to such a place of gratitude that it happened, because if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to see what the real driver of the whole thing was, and do what I needed to do for myself. It was all about the way I treat myself, and I got to really see that so clearly and make that commitment to myself. That was a huge thing, and it wouldn't have happened. Yeah, it wouldn't have happened if the whole situation hadn't occurred. So yes, on the one hand, I was just so grateful, and and still knew that I had to make this request that they go out, and that's really hard for me to do. But, I know I have to do it for myself. So,
so you stretched yourself and you grew in response to the life events that were unfolding, and that's the benefit of having tools like this. That's the benefit of understanding that I'm the one that's creating any upset I experience, even if I'm not the one who piled snow in the wrong place.
Right.
Right? I'm the one that creates my upset in every situation. And the benefit of understanding that dynamic and then having these very powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools at my disposal is it goes beyond words. How I've been able to change my life for the better in the past 16 or so years with direct application of these tools in situations just like your errant snow displacement. That's the value.
Exactly.
And the way of mastery reminds us is it says your life, your very life that might seem so ordinary and pedantic and run-of-the-mill and everyday, your very life is the most perfect teaching school you could ever be in. You don't need to escape to some ashram in the mountains of the Himalayas and find some guru in order to grow spiritually. Your day-to-day life is going to present you with situations like this that will trigger the very things you need to work on and dismantle so that your life becomes more loving.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and only if we think that these things shouldn't be happening do we suffer over them. Otherwise, they're just great learning opportunities, and we can see them in a completely different light.
Yep, absolutely. So I hope that was helpful.
It
in terms
was.
of
Thank
sorting
you.
out that lesson, because if you change that one word and what meaning you have loaded for the word make no demands, and just substitute the word requests for demands, and you didn't make demands, right? You did your worksheets and you went to them and talked to them and had a request that they take responsibility for what they did. And then when they didn't, you didn't stew and fuss and generate more upset. You just took the actions you had control over to make your life more safe, more sane, and more livable. And that's exactly what I encourage people to do on a regular basis.
Yeah, and even I let her know when I was, that if she didn't come out and move more snow for me, that I was going to have no choice but to put it on her property. I let her know like an hour before I actually did it to see if she would come out, and when she didn't, I was like, okay. So that's all I could do. That's all I did everything that I could do, and I did it in a very respectful manner. And so, yeah, I felt good about it. I felt really good about it. Because the whole point, for me was that no one asked permission. You know what I mean? If they had come and asked permission, that would have been a different story. There's no communication going on. And this is why it was important for me to see that, I need to communicate with them and let them know what what my needs are, and continue to communicate. If they're not willing to comply with me, then I need to let them know I'm not just going to, take action. I'll communicate with them and give them, the chance to rectify the situation. And so that's what I did. And so I did feel really good about it.
Good for you.
And now we'll see what happens with the next snow.
Right, and future communications. And if you keep it respectful, even if they go off the rails, if they get triggered to upset and want to blame you, you have the choice to stay loving, to stay respectful, to be able to choose for love or choose for joy in your life, regardless of what the people around you are choosing.
Yes, because it's very clear to me.
And that's what all these lessons are driving us to.
Yes, because it's very clear to me now that when other people get upset, it has nothing to do with me. So I think, I will be able to stay in that loving space, knowing that, wow, they're obviously in pain to be reacting that way, and I know exactly what that feels like, and I can stay, apart from that, and just stay in my loving space and react from that space or respond from that space.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, is there anything else we can support you in today with our last 5 minutes of the show?
No, that was it.
Hour of the show?
Thank you so much.
All right. Blessings. Thank you for the call. It's always good to discuss some of those finer points. We're down to our last 5 minutes, so we do have time for another call if somebody wants to make a comment or a question on what was just shared. I think the way this work and the Course in Miracles with the Way of Mastery work dovetails so much with the work I do with people talking about power struggles and how a power struggle either is created instantly or made a possibility. Anytime I focus more of my energy on things I have no control over and less energy on things I do have control over. And what Ellen was just talking about is essentially the direct application of that work. Somebody puts snow in a place where it's detrimental to my being able to use my garage or my car, and rather than feeling the anger and upset that comes and blame it on them and think they have to change before my upset and anger can change, that's an error in my thinking. When I understand that in every new present moment, I'm creating my experience of life by what I choose to focus on and how I choose to respond and interpret to those life events, then I can settle into shifting the focus of my energy over onto the things that I actually have control over. And in this work, that would have me focus internally and take 100% responsibility for any negative emotion, wake up to the fact that that is going to be producing an erroneous view of life, and anything I do from that erroneous view of life is going to cause more upset and more problems in my life. So the most important thing to do is restore calm, restore that loving, restore that balanced emotional perspective before deciding what actions to take. Then when I decide to shift the focus of my attention over to things I actually have control over from that loving space, formulate an action, a plan of action based on things I can actually control. And then when I take an action based on that, my life gets better rather than worse. And so that's what we're here to support people in doing, and providing the tools for that absolutely free at whyagain.org. Go there, click on the red and white bullseye, download the worksheet process, download the audio files of shows like this one where people have been stepped through that process. Go to your app store, type in 3 words, Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. Get access to a completely free and private app, and make use of it just the way Ellen has in today's example, and then give us a call. Michael and Jeannie have another hour of the show coming up today, and all week long we have got 2 hours, 5 days a week. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And Jeannie Rice is here too, so I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Rice.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. I think I got behind or ahead on the Course in Miracles. I was thinking that today is 39.
It is.
Oh, okay.
It is, and we did
when
that.
When I came in, you were talking about 37.
Yes, because Ellen had a specific question about one of the lines in 37, so we backed up and addressed that for her.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, have a great show.
Thank you. Talk to you later. So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. And today is